That's better. Okay. I don't
So Marcia, yeah, if you could just tell me a little bit about you, then I can kind of figure out what we should talk about since there's only us.
Well, I'm kind of new. I've been
Okay.
licensed for about a year, but didn't really do anything with it till just recently. So now I'm trying to get up to speed as fast as I can.
Okay, so yeah, I was mostly going to focus on the things because I was just asked to do this class last week. So I really don't have any like strict agenda or anything, but I was just going to kind of share a little bit about how I approach marketing and share some of what I've done. I tend to list higher priced homes. So it's, you know, going to be more along those lines of things. And really right now, I kind of feel, unless it's a strange location or a strange house, anything under 350 is pretty much selling itself for the most part. But so yeah, that's kind of where I was going to focus just because that's my background. So I'm not sure if that'll be helpful to you or.
You said what price point was your background?
I usually do listings that are higher like than 500.
Okay, that's exactly where I want to go. My whole neighborhood, everybody that I deal with is in that price point. So most people are telling me to start with first-time home buyers, and I'm going, I want to do a percentage of first-time home buyers, but I want to do my comfort zone first.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how I started as well. That was my comfort zone. I also do a lot of new construction, so those tend to be higher priced. I've done a couple of parade homes and that type of thing. So yeah, we can kind of focus on that. Then I can kind of tell you my kind of philosophy, my background. I was a graphic designer for 20 something years.
Wow.
And so I did a lot of marketing, advertising. I worked for an advertising company and a publishing company. So I do all my own design, graphic design. I designed my website, the first one I had, not this last one because I didn't have time. And that kind of makes my approach maybe a little different than most agents just because I really enjoy that part of it. So I kind of approach each house, especially when they're higher priced, as a unique property because they kind of are. It's not like you have cookie cutter all in the same neighborhood.
Right.
So I kind of look at each one and say, you know, I really first of all define the buyer, like who, even though I'm not discriminating or anything like that, just trying to say, okay, who is going to be the buyer for this home and how do I reach that buyer? You know, if it's going to be like a patio home that's a little bit higher price, then I'm probably not going to use a lot of the social media, like Instagram anyway. I might use Facebook just because they are on Facebook. But I try to at least figure out what the medium is that I would use to attract that buyer or reach that buyer, I should say.
Have you had any luck with LinkedIn or tried that at all?
I'm sorry, LinkedIn? Yes. I have, excuse me, I have done some. I do posts on LinkedIn, but I usually do it for like executive homes or like a relocation home. I try to keep it a little bit more business-like on LinkedIn.
Right.
So I don't post that often on there. And I haven't really gotten very much replies, although I do have a lot of people that, you know, want to connect or whatever. And they're not always realtors and they're not always lenders. Right. So you just never know who you know is out there and who's going to pay attention and where they're going to pay attention to. So I try to cover all the bases because you don't ever know where it's going to come to. But in my mind, I try to focus on who that buyer is going to be and appeal to that buyer because that's probably the best way to focus on just how to get this out there and what do I want to appeal to that buyer. So. And a lot of that has to do with staging. I don't know if you do any staging or if you have done any staging. But I try to, like I had a listing in Sherborne Muse, and they had lived in the property for like, I think 25 years or something like that. And they had beautiful furniture, although it was all 25 years old. So it was, you know, flowers and brass and things like that. But, and how I kind of meet with the seller at that point and try to get them to change is by telling them who that buyer might be and, you know, what they might be interested in seeing. Of course, those buyers are all interested in what they've seen Chip and Joanna Gaines do. So I said, you know, in order to sell this house, we probably need to update just for that buyer's taste, you know, that age group, age range taste, some of your, you know, pictures and things like that. So I do bring in like a lot of updated, you know, like, you know, the different sayings with home sweet home and all those type of things that you find in home goods. Just because that's what those buyers want to see, something updated and familiar, even though the house might not be, you know, just to try to make it appeal like it would on HGTV, because that's what everybody follows. So, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
How many times do you encourage them to go ahead and get their stuff out? Because
before I give up.
no, I'm not saying give up. It's just that, like, in this neighborhood, everybody's been in their homes for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And so the amount of stuff in the homes, the ones that I've looked toward recently, there's been so much stuff that I'm like, oh my goodness.
Where do you live?
I live in Vail Canyon.
Oh, okay.
Over by Polaris.
Well, and I just try to show them other houses that are listed currently and find good ones, you know, and show them the photos of that. I also use like my staging befores and afters to show them.
Mm-hmm.
So that can kind of, and I mean, people do, it's funny, people understand when they go into a model home, what it looks like, and you know, that no one lives there, and that's fine. But even if their buyer is going to look at a property, they appreciate how clean it is and how, you know, organized, you know, whatever updated or organized it is. But for some reason, they don't think they need to do that to their home. So it is a bit of a mystery, but how I try to get around it is, you know, to just try to show them examples as well as, you know, defining what today's buyer is looking for. Visually, you know, and as far as updates are concerned. So I think a lot of the marketing has to do with the setup first before you're actually really marketing it. So it's either the helping them decide if they need to paint or, you know, change out things like that, clean out things, and then kind of finding the resources for them to do that. And then I get professional photography for everything I do, unless the only thing I've not gotten professional photography for is a lot. When I've marketed a lot, I can pretty much take a picture of a lot. So that's the only time I haven't done, you know, professional photography, because I feel like those agents that do not do professional photography are doing themselves a disservice just because they, you know, are also marketing themselves. So when you market a house, you're marketing yourself as a listing agent. People, either buyers or sellers, will notice if it's different marketing than someone else, or, you know, if it's really well done, and take note of that and say, you know, maybe I'd consider having her list my house. Look how, you know, nice her photography is, or something like that. So I try to keep that in mind. Every house I list is also marketing myself. And just try to take a unique approach, especially when in the higher price points, and figure out, especially if it's been a house that's been on the market for a while and then I get it, or, you know, $1 million house or something, you have to approach it a little bit differently, just because that type of buyer is more sophisticated and used to seeing, you know, the higher end products and their advertising. So that's what they're, you know, kind of interested in. So have you listed any houses yet, Marcia?
No, I'm getting ready to do mine, and I'll be anxious to show you the pictures when I'm done. I did update it, and I used a decorator. So
oh, good.
I feel comfortable that it'll be okay. And I just like decluttered everything and moved everything to storage that wasn't absolutely necessary.
Yeah. No, that's,
So I'm hoping it'll be okay.
are you trying to get pictures taken or?
No, I haven't done any of that yet. I just got it ready, and then I still have a couple of things left to do. Like I have, I think 2 more light fixtures to swap out, but they're bathroom light fixtures. And
Oh, that's good.
all,
Yeah, light fixtures are huge. Those are one of the, besides paint, those are the easiest things to update.
I think I probably over improved though, but that's the way it goes.
Well, that's what I have. My sellers, and all of a sudden, once we're done with everything, they're like, I kind of like my house.
Yes.
I kind of want to stay. I don't know.
Then you go, uh-oh.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, no, sorry, you can't do that. So anyway, yeah, so, if you need some information as far as photographers or that type of thing, I mean, everybody says like, oh, I don't want to pay for photography, but it is worth it. Sometimes it's like $200, $250, depending on the size of the house. It can go up to a little higher, but it's worth more than any other marketing you're going to invest in for the listing at all. So
Who do you use?
I use Christopher Robinson, or I use Columbus Picks or Aaron Cropper. So it just depends like on the property as well as how available each of them are at that time that I need it. Yeah, but all of them do a good job, and they're all very reasonable. And I know other agents have tons of, other photographers that they use as well. Thanks.
That was Chris what?
Robinson
Robinson.
Photography is what it's called, I think. Joan, are you still out there? Okay.
I am.
Who do you use photography wise?
You know what? I use Columbus Picks a lot. I really like them. And I've also used Rodney Mittendorf a lot. He does a really good job.
I haven't used him.
Yeah, I was just going to say on Facebook this weekend, an agent in this office, and Diane, you might have responded, I can't remember, but she said, no, she'd had a house on the market for several days or weeks and not really getting any showings. And everybody responded and said, you need better pictures, because she's doing pictures with her cell phone. And, in this day and age, you can't do that because people rely on pictures. So.
No, actually, I'm going to share my screen and show you. I had a listing in Riverbend, and it was listed by 2 other agents. So I was the 3rd agent. And it was like in the high 500s or something. And both agents took pictures. I don't know if they used their cell phone or just they had a camera. I don't know what they used, but the people that actually bought the house at closing when I was there and, met them, and they said, we just want to let you know that you're the reason we bought this house. We've seen this house on the market and we never had the inspiration to go see it because it was so not impressive. And once we saw, the photography that you had and, what you had done, what the difference was, it had so much more potential than we thought. And I was like, that's a big compliment. I'm like, thank you. I'm like, that's more, and just I'll show you if I can. I have to share my whole screen to do that.
Good job.
Let me show you the before and after of that.
Yeah, I sold my own place last year and I thought, oh my God, it looks so gorgeous. I think I'll stay here. Pictures were so good.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me open up.
Yes, now I can. Yep, there we go.
So
oh my.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was the before I got the listing. And then this is after with professional photography. And if they paid for this photography, I would be like, oh geez, you didn't get your money's worth. But, so in this one, this is what I mean. Can you see my mouse moving?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I mean by kind of updating to what people are used to seeing on HGTV, Chip and Joanna. And I had this rug used to be in my living room. So I just save things like that, and the pillows are mine. But getting rid of curtains
Oh, yeah, those drippy curtains.
Huge, because those windows are beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't notice them because, and this was, I got the listing in winter, so it wasn't even green outside.
Wow.
And yeah, so just doing simple things like that. And the lighting is everything. That's another
And
thing,
the
aging wise,
lighting.
is
Huge.
go through the house and just tell them to increase their lighting
Yeah.
as much as they can safely and electronically in every room of their house, because lighting has everything to do with how it feels, you know, when someone's in it. Nobody wants to live in a dark house. So,
No.
and I think that's the kind of feel that, I think that's the kind of feel that the first picture gives them, is like, oh, it's kind of dark and kind of cold in there. I don't know, you know?
Old looking.
Yeah, and old and, but yeah, it just looks so much different without those rugs and being dark. So that type of thing makes a huge difference before you're even marketing the listing. Is you need to set it up for success instead of just you know, kind of going in, going, okay, I'll take the pictures and I'll throw them out there and see what happens, kind of thing. So I can also show you. Let me see if I have any other. I picked a few things out. Let's see. Oh, this was exterior staging, if you can believe that. So this was $1 million house. It was listed for 3 years, and I was the third agent. And it just has, even though it's $1 million house, it has no curb appeal, or it has a very European curb appeal, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of cold. So I had the seller just do a few things to it, and actually because of his, I'm good in Photoshop and a designer before, I actually did all of the things to it and then showed them. I added window boxes and shrubs and you know, just a few different things, and then I showed it to them in the picture, and they're like, oh my gosh, that looks so much better. Like, why didn't we do this when we built the house, you know? But so that's what I showed them. I don't know if you can kind of see that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was
my goodness.
my Photoshop rendering of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, oh yeah, it just makes it look a little bit more, you know, warm and not so cold. So then after doing this, and we did some staging on the inside too, I think I sold it after he agreed to doing the outside. I had it for about 9 months before he agreed to do it. I think it sold within, like, I think it was 3 months after that, within that time. So, you know, for $1 million listing, that's not terrible. I mean, I know 3 months sounds like a lot for a listing as far as, you know, being a lower price listing, but when it comes to higher priced homes, it's kind of a long process. It's not like a throw out there and hope for the best, or throw it out there and, you know, it's going to be done soon. You're kind of in it for the long haul, and you have to constantly come up with new, fresh ideas for marketing, different approaches for marketing, or the seller gets like, okay, so what are you going to do for me now? You know? So in order to keep those higher end listings, you constantly have to come up with new ideas and focus on what the buyers are, or the people, you know, walking through, and the agents are giving you as feedback, and fix those things when it comes to, you know, the higher price point. Anyway,
Those weren't even that expensive, were they? Those changes?
no. Well, and the seller was a builder, so it absolutely wasn't very expensive to him to do, and it was done in like a week's time. It was so worth it, though. I mean, we just got a lot more positive feedback and more showings, just because it showed better online, you know, when you see the pictures. So let me see what else I have in my little. Oh, this was I was just trying to make the point of clutter, clutter in photography, and just, this is not professional, this is professional. So see the, you know, things on the refrigerator, these are distracting. So just some of the things to make everything very clean and simple, so they're noticing the nice counters, and they're noticing the backsplash and the nice appliances, and the handles on the cabinets, instead of just like being distracted and not really having a focal point like to look at. In this picture, it's kind of like, I got rid of the rug. I do that a lot, just because rugs are usually they don't look as good in person as they do, I mean, on photography as they do in person. And it's a nice wood floor, you know, so just small things like that, I think, make a big difference, especially, you know, in the higher price points. Yeah, that's great.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So let's see if I have it. I've done drone as well for, this was like one of the first drones I've done. Let me see. I don't even know. Let me see if it'll play. Come on. So this was back in like 2014, I think. So drones were just getting started, so you can kind of see the lighting isn't all that great. But it's that same house, and no one had ever shown it before using a drone. And it was obviously before we did any of the outside changes. I wish I would have done it, had the changes done first, but I did the drone at the very beginning of the listing, I believe, because it was getting into being fall, and I didn't want to miss the trees. Yeah, but we can kind of, you know, goes like that. So drone photography is very helpful when you have a property like that, as far as something just not in a normal subdivision or anything like that. I've also done walkthrough videos. This one's kind of long, so we won't need to show everything.
Evans Farm,
Yeah.
down the street.
And then when the whole coronavirus thing happened, I actually added subtitles to explain every room in this video. And you can actually do that on YouTube. So if it's uploaded and you bring it into YouTube, you can add your own subtitles. So I can say, you know, this kitchen has quartz countertops and blah, blah, you know, instead of not having any words or not explaining, you know, who built the home or anything in the video. So you can kind of talk through it without talking. So people can just watch it on, you know, social media. I think Columbus Pics did this one, I believe. So, I mean, I think they did a good job. I think I wanted them to slow it down in a few places because you almost feel like you're getting motion sickness. But yeah, so yeah, they just did the whole walk through the whole house, you know, and outside.
Is that a web home?
Yes, it is. I think that's the only things I've kind of pulled out from that. So let me get back to me. So, and then I'll show you some of the other things I've done as far as actual printed pieces. I have done postcards in the past. I've only received one new listing from doing postcard campaigns.
Really? All the older agents swear by them.
I know, but and then maybe because they had, I was doing them consistently. Kind of one of the, maybe the first couple of years I was in real estate, and that's when I got the one listing. But it was more because she was a neighbor and she talked to the neighbor about me. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to call this agent. She just sold my neighbor's house. She actually went and talked to the neighbor and said, you know, what do you think? So I guess it's a way to get that conversation started. But anyway, so yes, I've done, you know, the just sold, and keep it really clean and simple. Make it look professional. I know I've gotten bright pink fluorescent postcards from agents, and I'm like, nobody wants to look at that. Like, everybody wants pretty pictures, you know?
Yes.
It's like that's what wins on social media and Instagram. That's why Instagram exists, is because of pretty pictures. So,
Especially the jumbo ones.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
just yeah, it needs to stand out a little bit more. And I try to keep the back pretty clean, although I had the title company help me with this one, so we had to put their logo on the back. And then I also do printed pieces that are, you know, your 11 by 17s. And I design each one of these, so I have kind of a few different ones that I've done. There's that Evans farmhouse again. And then, just kind of list on the back, what those features are. And, but yeah, I kind of match the personality of the home when I design stuff. And I know most agents don't want to do that and they could care less about that. But because it's my background, I really enjoy doing that type of stuff. I probably spend too much time on it, more than I should. But like I said, I enjoy doing that and it does serve my clients well. So, they really appreciate this when you, I think I had photography taken on this one and it was kind of in the winter. And then I had to have new photography taken once it got to be spring. If you don't update your photography, it's obvious when that house was listed, so right. I can't stand in the spring when I see houses that have Christmas decorations. It's like, okay, it's been listed since December, at least we know that. So, you do need to spend money on marketing a listing. Like I said, especially when it comes to those that are over 500,000. That's what the sellers expect. And in order to keep the listing, because I've had listings for over, a year, it doesn't mean like the $1 million ones, those doesn't mean that I'm not doing marketing. It's just hard to find, $1 million buyer sometimes. So, and it keeps the seller engaged and it keeps them, aware that you're still thinking about, their home and how to market it. So I kind of do a layered marketing, especially when it comes to the higher end ones, just because I know I'm going to have the listing most of the time for a while. So I need to not just come out with everything at the beginning, but kind of make it layered and add to it and try to appeal to different buyers in different ways. And that can even be changing the photography in the MLS as far as what your feature picture is. People know when they look through and I've seen that house before. Oh, I've seen that house before. But if you change the picture, they might hesitate a little bit like, oh, what's that? Because they didn't look 5 pictures in, so it can kind of appear to them like a new listing just because they hadn't paid attention to it before. And something different about different homes is going to appeal to different buyers. So I just kind of try to keep it fresh and change it up as much as I possibly can. And in doing the higher price listings, I don't do as many listings as trying to handle $10,000 to $100,000 listings, or whatever. You have a little bit more time to spend on that marketing, which is what I enjoy doing. So
God bless you. That's my weakness.
well, and I enjoy doing it so much. I'm like, maybe I should just start a business doing marketing for agents.
Oh, God bless you. I pay you. I hate the marketing ass. I mean, I don't mind coming up with the ideas. It's just getting them from idea to reality.
Yeah. And it's a lot because I can do it myself. Obviously, I'm not paying anybody to do it. So it is a lot less expensive for me to do it myself. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Stop it. And like I said, I do enjoy it. So let me see what else. I wrote down a few things here. Also, just when you're marketing a listing, like I said before, you are marketing yourself. So coming up with a consistent look and a consistent brand is very important. As far as sellers recognizing you and noticing, because they will look at what's out there. They'll look at what's in their neighborhood, when they're thinking about selling. So they're going to notice different things as far as what that listing agent, what their overall branding and appearance is like. So I try to keep everything consistent. I think I'm pretty known for the turquoise color that I use as far as being consistent, being noticed that way. But I also try to use the same logos and same photos on, of myself on those pictures as well. Just so it does become like, oh, I've seen that before. She must have listed other house in this neighborhood or whatever. As far as after all of that photography and staging is done, it's, getting it out there on the market is like what I said before. I do more of a layered approach. So not that I don't, want everything out there at the beginning, but when it comes to a higher price point, I always want to have kind of a plan B and a plan C. Hey, if this doesn't work, I'm going to put it all out there. Then I need to come up with something a little bit, the next level up just to get more, you know, appeal to it and more people to notice it. So the property description also is something that I try to change up, at least if the property's been on the market for, you know, a couple of months. I try to change the property description because, again, you don't know what a specific buyer is looking for, going to catch their eye or catch their, oh my gosh, this one has a, you know, whatever, and they're reading it. Where if I, you know, didn't put a specific thing in, they might not be interested. It's always that, I always think it's funny. It's that one thing that somebody goes, oh, but it has this. And, you know, and I'm like, okay, if I could figure out what that was. So I try to change up the property description as well. And I do have a PDF of words that work in real estate. There are adjectives and different types of words that I have to look at every time I go to write one, because I'm a visual person. I'm not a huge writer, but just because you have to come up with different words. Everybody's used to curb appeal and cute and, you know, like just trying to, without sounding too crazy or too, you know, out there, you know, just trying to come up with something, a different way to explain or describe something. And I have an agent that I met in Cleveland, and she has an Instagram. Her name is Karen Eagle. She has an Instagram. She's a Howard Hanna, which is big up there. She's a Howard Hanna agent. And what she does is she does higher end listings. She, you know, obviously marks it on the MLS, takes all the pictures, all that. But on her Instagram, almost like every day, she will post a different picture, just one picture of the listing, and describe kind of how that room feels or how you would use that room, or can you imagine doing this in there, you know, entertaining or whatever. But she's very good. I don't know who writes her descriptions, but I'd love to, if it's not her, I'd love to hire them, because they're very good at setting a scene. And sometimes, you know, it's just people don't have the thought or the imagination to imagine themselves in that, you know, particular home without those type of things. So just like when you're doing staging, it's you're giving the buyer that doesn't have the imagination a little bit of a step ahead as to what it could look like, you know, more updated and that type of thing.
I'll do the verbiage, you do the pictures.
Okay. I hate, right? Every time I go down and sit down and write, I'm like, okay. Now things, and I try to go through and I read, you know, different things, and just to get an idea. I always have to do it after I take the pictures, though, because I have to look through the pictures in order to get the inspiration to write anything. But yeah, that everybody has their strengths, you know.
Yeah.
Trying to think. So besides, you know, the drones and the videos and the photography, you know, open houses are definitely marketing, a way to market a listing. We're just now starting to get back into that, obviously, and that is a whole nother Zoom video class in itself, I think. So we'll wait, you know, keep that for another person, another day. I do run Facebook ads, and I run Instagram ads, but they haven't been as successful as Facebook ads. I have run them through Command and gotten some leads on them. None of the leads have turned into a buyer buying it or anything like that, but I have them in my database now. So you never know when those things come back up. I also market to agents. So I don't just market to people that are buying homes, you know, actual buyers, but I market to agents. If I know that it's a good relocation house, I will send out packets to agents that I know do a lot of relocation, or just hire people that list higher end homes a lot. I'll send them, you know, one of these brochures. I'll put it in their mailbox. I do that at our office. I just go through and plop them in, you know, to the mailboxes, because, you know, we don't have time as agents to look through every house that's on the market, you know, in the photos and in the MLS every day. So if something appeals to us and they think, hey, that buyer would like it, I feel it's just another opportunity to get your house noticed. So I do zip your flyer campaigns, as well as, like, I actually mail them to HR departments at hospitals and the university, I don't know where they go, and but hey, it's worth it to me to get maybe that noticed in the Cardinal Health or that type of thing. And I have called the different places and just said, hey, if I were to have a home that I think would be a good relocation, do you have any person that I should send this to? And sometimes they've said, yeah, just send it to this attention, and they'll keep it, and like, okay. So and then telling your sellers what you're doing and why you're doing it, I think keeps them engaged. Like, oh, she's really thinking through this. She's thinking about who that buyer is, defining the buyer. And if it's a good relocation, homes are usually higher end homes. So I try to cover all the bases when it comes to who the audience is, both agents and buyers themselves. Does anybody have any questions? Marsha, you're the only one out there still?
Here's a good one for you. Bob Bobrovsky's house. It's a condo in downtown Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
$2.7 million. The listing agent kind of made him mad because he said the decorating is pretty unique, a lot of purple. And the listing agent said you can't fix stupid. So there's a little bit of
Oh, wow.
Published it on Twitter and was republished in a newspaper.
Oh my gosh. Really? I didn't see that. Oh.
So my suggestion would be, I can't take the listing away from him, but what would be kosher? Could I tell him to, I should wait until the listing expires, right? Because I would suggest that he empty the condo and put just a few pieces in, rent.
No, you can't, and I'm sure John would also agree. You can't approach a seller when they are represented, even by mail or anything like that. All you can do is market yourself as you would normally, and or hey, they may happen to come across it themselves, but you can't kind of go directly to them and say, hey, your realtor sucks. This is what I would do, unless they ask you somehow.
Right, but, and I don't want to give the secrets away till I wouldn't want to until I had the listing. I just wanted to give teasers, right? Yeah,
well, and I've done that both ways, where I go through and I help people, stage, and then they end up going with another. I don't help them stage. I just do a few suggestions. But I mean, in the end, they have to feel comfortable. It's a relationship, especially with the higher end listings. You're going to be in partners for a little while, so you have to work well together. And I feel like if I can't trust them from the beginning, then we're not going to get too far. So if they choose to use what I've told them and go with a different agent, then I'll just wait until that agent doesn't sell it, and I'll sell it then. Because I have had buyers or sellers come back to me afterwards and goes, okay, I apologize. I know we didn't go with you at first, but some of the things that you said made sense, and then would you list my house now? So it'll come around if it's I don't want to say meant to be, because I hate when people say that, but it'll come around with good marketing and being consistent, I think. You got a $5 million buyer? No, I don't have any of those. Sorry. Darn. But I would appeal to corporations. That's what I thought. Downtown corporation executives. I just thought those are hard. Those are with those listings. I've only been around the $1 million mark, but with those listings, and I follow a lot of agents on the West Coast and in the New York area, just because they have a lot of those listings, and they market differently than we do here in the Midwest. I mean, especially in California, they will come up with music videos around the house, like lifestyle videos around the house. There's a couple really cool ones, and I feel like if I had, that level of home, I would probably invest in getting some lifestyle video where, someone's pulling down the driveway and they're getting out and they're, opening up the home, and, like actually using it without showing that person. Obviously, you're not trying to sell them, or, like they're not featured. But I think it shows more of a depth or dimension to the house and, the different areas of the home. So look up, I'm trying to remember who those agents were in California, but if you look up real estate videos, in California or something, I think they'll come up on YouTube. And
The
there's,
catch is the seller is ultimate conservative.
okay.
They're not gonna, the only thing I could come up with would be to focus, and the furnishings are ultimately conservative, and yet it's a home. If you took the furnishings out, it would go to a younger generation.
Okay.
They're not gonna do that. I mean,
Right.
it's the features in the home, because it's a builder that built the home, and it's just, I know them personally, so I know what they did and how they did it. And
Yeah.
half the stuff came from Europe, and I'm just like,
Good. And the only way you could probably do that, and it's hard to know without seeing it, is just kind of show those features not so broad, not showing everything in the room if it's a lot of, wild or I don't know what to say, eclectic things. And
it's tasteful for that age group, but you don't want to sell to that age group. They're in
Right.
their 70s or 80s, so what
Yeah.
a 40-year-old today would buy is not what an 80-year-old.
Right.
But
Right.
the architectural features are there. So the only thing I could do is to show more architectural features and fewer wide angle shots of the
Yeah.
furniture.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm wondering, how they have, I'm just thinking out loud, they have those virtual staging where you have an empty house and they put it in there. I wonder if they can take out the furniture of an existing house and virtually just stage it with newer, cleaner furnishings. I don't know.
I could do that to a stranger, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
I could, because I know that she personally, the amount of personal investment that she had in each piece and the
Yeah.
history. So to tell her to take that stuff out.
Well, I wouldn't have her take it out. I would just have somebody in Photoshop take a few things or tone it down or
Just move it around. Maybe just
Yeah.
move it.
Yeah. Even when you take the pictures, if you could just move it around,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe just for the sake of the pictures,
yeah.
just keep the pieces that work. And
Right. Because I like take up the rugs for the pictures, but I don't have them, take their rugs out for showings. Like, and different thing. I take things out of photos that I won't have them move during a showing. Just because people spend time looking at pictures. They will like sit and stare at a picture for minutes and notice every single little thing, where when they're doing a showing, they're kind of taking it all in at once, and a rug on the floor is not going to distract them as it would in the picture by being the focus. Yeah, it's just trying to make it as clean as possible, because pictures are hard. They're two-dimensional, and when you're in a showing, it's three-dimensional. So when you see something two-dimensional, something bright or just really ornate is going to distract away from any other positive thing in that picture. So I try to take it out for the pictures at least.
yeah, it's all tasteful. It's just
well, there's a lot of things to look at, and you're not selling the things, you're selling the house. So I think that's probably the best way to describe it to them is, your things are beautiful, but I don't want them to distract, taking, away from the architecture of your home. More along those lines, as far as not, just discrediting their taste or anything, but to, appeal to more of, I really want to show the architecture of this home because it's so beautiful. And I feel like your, rugs or statues or whatever they have might be distracting in a photo. Because you do need to have just kind of a focus on something, kind of clean and simple, instead of small things here and there. Like I said, rugs on the floor are one of my.
The wine cellar, the car collection, the circular driveway.
Yeah.
Those things.
Those are the things that are going to sell it, obviously.
The master bath.
Take away from.
I'm going to get out of here. I have to
Okay.
go. But thank you so much.
Yeah,
Bye,
sure.
Jen.
Nice to see you.
Gotta go.
All right. Any other questions? I don't know if there's anybody else on here. I see 2 other names, but I don't know if they're out there. Hello?
This has been fantastic.
Are you seeing? Okay, well, good. I feel like I'm just kind of showing you what I've done. And oh, there's another thing I do. And this is what you could do with $1 million home, is on the sign, especially if the house is kind of back, driveway, so you really can't see the house, is I get custom signs made and have, this was a new construction home, so it wasn't built yet. So I wanted to show what it was going to look like when it was built, when people drove by.
Uh-huh.
So I actually did, and I did that for that river home too, that I did the exterior on, because their backyard was beautiful, but nobody could see the backyard because you're just driving by seeing the ugly, no curb appeal front yard. So I took a picture of the backyard and I put that on the sign. And just kind of gives people, if it's a new construction, it gives people an idea of what it's going to look like when it's done without just seeing all the dirt and everything else. Or if there's a different feature about the house that they can't see when they're driving by, put it on the sign. I mean, everybody's like, oh, you get separate signs made, and I'm like, yeah, they're not. I mean, they're like $60, and they're worth it. But it's, all you do is take one photo and plop it on. I'm not doing a lot of design when it comes to that. I'm one photo, my headshot, and just Keller Williams on it. So it doesn't take a whole lot of design. I'm sure a sign company could do that.
Now, what did you do with that sign?
It was the sign for the for sale sign on the curb.
But it says sold on it. That would.
Oh, well, that's because I
said
put it
for
on there
sale at the
afterwards. Yeah, it had for sale above it on the rider. Once I sold it, I just put that across there.
Okay, so it made a unique for sale sign.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And the builder appreciated it because it was, like, oh, no one's ever done that before. That's kind of cool, because at least people driving by don't just see sticks and mud. They see, oh, that's what it's going to look like. Okay. Instead of, I mean, new construction's hard because there's a lot of mud involved. So a lot of my signs don't live very long in new construction, but
Those manor homes, they were nice people. I
yeah.
met them.
Yep. I've done stuff with them since 2016, so
Oh,
I really enjoy working with them, and
I'm
they
sure.
need some help, marketing. So it was a good fit, because that's what I like to do, and that's where they were lacking the most. So they have me walk through their houses. So we just walked through a new floor plan the other day and said, okay, Diane, what do you think? And I'm like, move this wall. That one's the pantry's too small. And they're like, okay. So at least they value the opinion.
See, that's what I do, but I do it at the blueprint stage. I go, what are you guys doing? Is this house built for just guys, or you want a woman to live in it?
Right, exactly, because they're all guys. And we do it at the blueprint stage, but then we actually walk through when it's framed, when it's a new, like a custom home or something. Just because it makes, more sense when you're in the space and 3-dimensional.
Right.
And they can still move the walls. Of course, they can't move all the walls, but at least some of the ones that I suggest moving, like in the parade home of that house, they had no pantry. They didn't have a walk-in pantry. They just had a whole wall of cabinets that were supposed to be the pantry.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they had it laid out. And I'm like, no, you got to have, in $1 million home, you have to have a walk-in, pantry with
Functioning pantry.
with a,
I call it the chef's kitchen.
Yeah, or like a butler's pantry. You have to
Yes.
have, like, I can't stand if your stuff is all in different cabinets. I'm like, I don't know what they were thinking. But anyway, so they changed the kitchen around and added the pantry. And, I think we got a lot of compliments on the pantry. And
But there is a lady down the street that took her pantry out because she was tired of cleaning it and put cabinets in because it was easier to clean one cabinet at a time.
well, everybody to each his own, but I'm like, oh.
But she also took her coat closet out. So I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful home, but it's New Englandish, and it's,
Everybody has their own thing.
yeah, I don't think it'll market that way, but not my headache.
Yeah.
Yet.
So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. When I do luxury properties, I do enlist the help of national service advertising. It's called Lux VT, and they will place the ads in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and even internationally. And they will, post a video, and they do but anyway, it's like a flat fee to begin with, and you only pay them if you sell the property.
Mhm.
So I've only used it twice now. It's just brand new. I just started using it, so I haven't had to pay them yet. I just paid the setup fee, which is a couple $100, I think. And then they do, all of the media campaign as far as running ads in actual online ads and in the Wall Street Journal type of thing. So that I find it is worth it, or I think it's worth it anyway, but I'm just trying it out now. But for a $200 investment, and if I sell the house, then great, I'll pay them. But yeah, right now it's kind of a experiment at this point.
Well, I hope it works out.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, if I don't know if they're Karen or Renim, I don't know if I'm, like I said, saying your name right, but if you're out there, thanks for coming. And if you have any questions, let me know. Put them in the chat, I guess. I don't know. But Marcia, thanks for participating. At least I didn't feel like I was talking to myself the whole time.
No, I'm thrilled. One last question. When you do an open house on your luxury properties, do you entertain or do you just show?
I just show. I have entertained before. When I entertain, it's more to agents.
Okay.
I've also held CE classes in them if they're vacant.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's got a lot of it. I did that at the Parade Home. I did that at the River House because nobody lived in them. So it was easy to, get some chairs from church and plop them in the living room and have Title Connect come and teach a CE class. Just different ideas like that. I think entertaining, it's hard to entertain. Unless you're going to do like a fundraiser or something.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because then when you entertain and you do that type of thing, you're going to get a lot of people that aren't really buyers.
It has to be invite only.
Yeah, how do you figure that out? How do you figure out who that invite would be to, besides everyone in the neighborhood? Yeah, so it's kind of but I usually do the, agent broker open on higher end listings too. So
I was thinking champagne and strawberries.
yeah, you can. Well, I have had. There's another agent. It's in Keller Williams in Upper Arlington, and she's done, popcorn machines and like before the whole COVID thing, where people could kind of make their own ice cream sundae and that type of stuff for a kids kind of friendly neighborhood. It's just you never know what is going to appeal, but she was trying to show that house off its best. Like, hey, this is a fun house, or look at the movie theater, the theater room, that type of thing. So I think it's just keeping an open mind and really taking in the property to feel, to figure out what the marketing needs to be on the higher end ones is important. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, let me know if there's any questions, afterwards, just shoot me an email or anything like that. It'd be fine.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.